In student days in Dublin, there was one place where the Old Mass was celebrated, sung solemnly and well. And behind the high altar was the scene of the reading that we have from the Acts of the Apostles, or rather, what actually led to it. Paul. At the time he was Saul, and we can understand how the disciples were somewhat apprehensive. Was this, as it were, a KGB officer coming in disguise? They did not particularly want to get involved with this great persecutor. And they had to be convinced. And who better to convince them than the by now Paul? He had met the Lord. The Lord, of course, had identified himself with his people, and he does the same in our day. He hurts in the heart of the wounded brother. And the reading from St. John reminds us of the inseparability of the vertical from the horizontal. We cannot expect to be answered if we are bullying both God and man. God is not a slot machine. If we obey his commandments, then we are in relationship with him. And he asks us as a formal commandment, really the only one that was the new commandment, that we love one another. As one sees the way that people interact, even in the name of the Lord, doing the Lord's work, one asks whether this element of seeing love as paramount is always kept before the eyes. It is easy to defend a position, of course, for the honour of God, but then we lose control, we lose charity. Words, when not insulting, words, when upbuilding and not demolishing, are more constructive and more serene, and are received in that mode. For if one talks down to a person, the person talked down to will put up a barrage of defence and will not receive the word anyway. One needs therefore to wait the right moment to say the right word. Until the storm dies down, there's no point. All one meets is a barrage. And sometimes silence is more dignified than immediate, noisy, hurtful reply. Silence has the advantage of being able then to house a word which will help. The wrong word invading that silence will damage all concerned, including the emitter thereof. And so it is that the Gospel talks about indwelling, and if that is the mode of our being, then our words will come from the one who indwells us. And then they will have their effect in evangelization. The fruit will be born. One sees, as one looks round, much spectacular stuff. And then one sees here and there quiet stuff. One sees how the indwelling is rendered more easy when there is an atmosphere which favours its perception. The DJ has an immediate effect. The one who is transmitting a presence has another. Pope Benedict, in his liturgical writings, Sacramentum Caritatis and so on, has a whole teaching about what favours encounter. The ars celebrandi, the art of celebrating, is the art of allowing God to be God, essentially. And therefore consequences follow. There is an eclipse of the human. There is a gentle but powerful invasion by and of the divine. And essentially, the one who is guiding that power has to all the time be in the mode of, over to you, Lord. For that to happen, he must be in a state of being worked upon from within. And therefore one sees well whether, for instance, a celebrant starts off on his knees before the altar, or having a great joke in the sacristy. It will have an effect. And over a lifetime of ministry, it will have a massive effect. That over to you, Lord mode is not that difficult. It has to be cultivated all life long. It means that we're in relationship, looking inwards rather than outwards, and in that constant inward regard, meeting the inwards of the other. And therefore one hears the word also in the other, and from within has the right word for the other. Not yet, more.